Commissioner Gordon, Bane has escaped.
Distraction is the silent killer of potential. It creeps in unnoticed, stealing minutes, then hours, then years. It disguises itself as harmless entertainment, as innocent diversions. But its purpose is far darker. It dulls the mind, weakens the will, fractures attention until nothing remains but a hollow shell of a man who once had ambition. This is the war you fight every day, the war against the world's demand for your attention. And if you do not take control, you will be nothing more than a puppet moving to the rhythm of distractions that serve only to keep you weak. The modern world is engineered to rob you of presence. Every device, every screen, every worthless notification is designed to steal the one thing you can never recover: your time. The weak allow themselves to be pulled in every direction, their minds scattered, their focus shattered. They exist in a haze, physically present but mentally absent, unable to give their full energy to anything that matters. And so they remain average, chained to a life of half-hearted effort and diluted ambition. To master presence is to master life. Every moment wasted in distraction is a moment stripped from something greater. When you are fully present, time slows, focus sharpens, and the world bends to your will. But presence is not given. It is earned. It is forged through discipline, through the relentless rejection of anything that does not serve your purpose. It is the ability to shut out the noise, to silence the useless chatter, to step fully into the moment with an intensity that makes lesser men uncomfortable. Most walk through life half awake, prisoners of their thoughts, lost in mental loops of regret and anticipation. They dwell on the past, obsess over the future, and never once truly experience the present. This is why they fail. Their energy is divided, their mind always elsewhere, their actions never executed with full force. To be half present is to be powerless. To be fully present is to be unstoppable. Presence is a weapon. It amplifies every action, every word, every movement. When you are fully immersed in the now, you become sharper, faster, more decisive. Conversations bend to your will. Tasks are completed with ruthless efficiency, and obstacles that once seemed insurmountable crumble beneath the weight of your undivided attention. This is why the greats dominate, because when they act with their entire being. No hesitation, no doubt, no wasted motion. The mind is an untamed beast, always looking for escape. It jumps from thought to thought, seeking comfort in distraction, fleeing from discomfort with endless stimulation. If you do not take control, it will drag you through life as a passive observer, a mere spectator in your own existence. But if you train it, if you force it into stillness, if you demand presence from it, you will wield a power few ever touch. The power of absolute control over your attention. Everything you want is on the other side of distraction. The skill, the discipline, the relationships, the mastery. It all comes down to how much presence you bring into each moment. The world will beg for your attention. It will tempt you with cheap dopamine. It will sell you the illusion that multitasking is power. But the truth is brutal. Divided focus is no focus at all. And those who fail to understand this will be left behind, lost in a whirlwind of meaningless noise. The cost of distraction is far greater than most realize. It is not just lost productivity, it is lost potential. It is the book never written, the skill never mastered, the business never built, the strength never developed. It is the slow, creeping theft of a life that could have been legendary, reduced to mediocrity by 1,000 stolen moments. And those who allow it to happen will wake up one day and realize that their best years were spent watching others live. Mastery of presence is mastery of destiny. To be fully here, fully engaged, fully aware is to hold the key to everything. The mind must be trained, disciplined, conditioned to reject what does not matter and pour itself fully into what does. It is not easy, it is not comfortable, but it is necessary, because the alternative is a life of wasted potential, of fractured focus, of regret that cannot be undone. There is no secret. Presence is a choice, made every second of every day. You can let the world pull you apart, or you can take control and command your attention with the force of a warrior. The weak will choose distraction. The strong will choose presence. And that choice will define the difference between those who build empires and those who fade into nothingness. Most live their lives in constant calculation, weighing every action against the potential outcome, chasing rewards, approval, or validation. They do not act for the sake of the moment. They act with strings attached, bound by expectations, burdened by desires that pull them in 100 directions at once. Presence is impossible in this state. When the mind is focused on what might come instead of what is, it loses itself in a maze of hesitation and doubt. But the ones who break free, who move with no ulterior motive, who step into action for the sake of action itself, they experience something few ever touch: total liberation. You were not meant to be a puppet to outcomes. When you let go of the need to control every result, when you immerse yourself fully in the process, something shifts. The weight of expectation disappears. The mind sharpens, the body flows, and every movement becomes effortless. This is the state of pure presence, where action is no longer a means to an end, but the end itself. And in this state, you become more than what you were. You evolve not by force, but by surrendering to the present moment with everything you have. Children understand this instinctively. Watch them play, create, move without hesitation. They are not thinking about how their actions will be perceived, about whether their efforts will be rewarded. They are fully immersed, and because of this, they experience life with a depth that most adults have long forgotten. They do not need motivation to act. They act because action itself is fulfilling. Somewhere along the way, you were taught to let go of that freedom. You were conditioned to measure your worth by results instead of engagement. And that conditioning has cost you your ability to be fully present. The masters of any craft know the power of this mindset. The artist does not paint for the applause. The fighter does not throw a punch for the medal. The writer does not shape words for the approval of others. They do it because they must, because the act itself is where they feel most alive. And in that space, skill is refined. Mastery is built, and transformation occurs without force. When action is its own reward, the barriers of hesitation, fear, and self-doubt dissolve. But the weak chase empty goals, believing that fulfillment is found in the reward instead of the work. They are always looking past the moment, always waiting for the future to deliver them something better. They have forgotten what it means to be immersed, to be lost in something greater than themselves. They are disconnected from the present, and because of this, they are disconnected from their own potential. If you want to master presence, you must abandon the illusion of control. You must act for the sake of action, train for the sake of training, create for the sake of creation. The reward is not something that comes after the work, it is within the work itself. When you stop chasing results, when you fully commit to the moment, you unlock a power most will never understand. Your mind will resist. It will demand certainty, validation, guarantees. But those are illusions, distractions designed to keep you trapped in hesitation. Let them go. Step fully into the present, into the movement, into the work, without expectation. And watch what happens. Watch as skill sharpens, as clarity emerges, as you become something far greater than the sum of your past efforts. Presence is not passivity. It is not detachment from effort. It is the opposite. It is absolute engagement, unburdened by fear, undistracted by outcome. It is the ability to pour everything into this moment without the need for anything beyond it. And when you do this, something strange happens. The rewards you once chased start to come effortlessly. Not because you forced them, but because you no longer needed them. Every moment attention is spent like currency, but unlike money, it cannot be earned back. The energy you invest into thoughts, actions, and emotions is gone the instant it is used, shaping your reality in ways you rarely notice. Where that energy flows, growth follows. But if it is scattered, wasted on distractions, hijacked by things that do not serve you, then your existence becomes diluted, fragmented between 1,000 insignificant impulses. Presence is not about simply existing in the now. It is about directing that energy with force, with purpose, with an intensity that makes the moment unshakable. The masters of presence do not allow this theft. They guard their attention with the same vigilance a warrior guards his weapon. They understand that to control focus is to control life itself. They are not passive in their experience. They shape it, refine it, cut away the noise until only what matters remains. Every moment of deep focus, of absolute presence, is another step toward mastery, toward clarity, toward becoming something greater. Memories, thoughts, emotions, these are not random. They are built from the raw material of attention. Where you focus determines what lingers in your mind, what defines your perception of the world. If your attention is spent on fear, on regrets, on things outside of your control, then your experience will be one of suffering, hesitation, and frustration. But if it is spent on action, on learning, on refining skill, then the mind becomes sharper, stronger, immune to the distractions that pull lesser men apart. The difference between the ones who achieve and the ones who drift through life unnoticed is not intelligence, not talent, not luck. It is the way they spend their attention. The weak allow it to be drained by useless impulses. The strong direct it like a weapon, cutting through the fog of distraction with relentless focus. They do not chase 100 different things at once. They lock onto one and commit with everything they have. And because of this, they do in months what others fail to do in a lifetime. Attention is an energy that can be trained, refined, sharpened. But most do not train it at all. They let it wander, let it be stolen, let it be used against them. And then they wonder why they struggle, why they cannot focus, why their progress is always slower than they expected. It is because their energy is spent, but never directed. Without control over attention, no meaningful work can be done. No deep thought can occur. No transformation can take place. This is why presence is not optional. It is the foundation of everything. The mind must be disciplined, conditioned to remain where it is instead of drifting to where it wants to escape. To train presence is to train the ability to take full ownership of thought, of movement, of reality itself. It is to forge the mental strength required to remain locked into the moment, fully engaged, fully alive. And that strength is what separates the focused from the lost. The world does not want you to have this power. It wants you distracted, reactive, entertained just enough to never question why your life feels out of your control. But those who reclaim their attention, who direct it with purpose, who refuse to let it be stolen, they are the ones who shape reality. They are the ones who become unstoppable. The mind is not built to thrive in stillness. It is wired for movement, for engagement, for immersion in tasks that push it to its limits. But, too often, people exist in one of two extremes, either trapped in monotony, suffocating under the weight of boredom, or overwhelmed by difficulty, drowning in anxiety. Both are prisons. Both drain energy, dull the mind, and make presence impossible. The sweet spot, the place where focus becomes effortless, where time dissolves, where action and awareness merge into one, that is the flow state. And it does not happen by accident. It must be forged. Those who understand this do not settle for tasks that are beneath them. They do not waste time on things that do not challenge them, nor do they throw themselves into chaos without preparation. They find the razor's edge, that perfect space, where skill is tested but not overwhelmed, where every action demands presence without fear. This is where the mind sharpens, where the body moves without hesitation, where existence becomes something more than a passive experience. It becomes an art. Flow state is not some mystical force reserved for the elite. It is a process, a science, a condition of total presence that can be cultivated through discipline. When skill and challenge are perfectly matched, the mind has no choice but to engage. Thoughts of the past and future disappear. There is no overthinking, no hesitation, no distraction. Only the task at hand, demanding every ounce of attention. And in this space, the impossible becomes achievable. But most do not understand this balance. They either play life on easy mode, coasting through routines that require nothing of them, wondering why they feel empty. Or they take on too much at once, overloading themselves with problems they are not yet strong enough to handle, drowning in frustration. And in both cases, they break focus, falling out of presence, trapped in either mindless repetition or paralyzing stress. The difference between those who master presence and those who never touch it is their ability to adjust this balance. They do not wait for the right conditions. They create them. They seek challenges that push them forward without crushing them, knowing that every step outside their comfort zone is another level of mastery unlocked. They adjust, refine, sharpen, always staying just beyond their limits, but never so far that they lose control. This is why flow is the gateway to greatness. It is not just about productivity, it is about identity. When you exist in flow, you are not just performing a task, you are becoming something greater. You are stepping beyond hesitation, beyond self-doubt, beyond the fragmented mind that most live with. You are fully absorbed, fully alive, fully present. And once you have tasted this level of focus, anything less feels unbearable. But flow does not come without effort. It requires an awareness of your own capabilities, an understanding of where your limits are and how to push them without breaking. It requires rejecting the comfort of boredom and the panic of overload, walking that perfect line where growth happens without collapse. And most will never do this work. They will remain on one side or the other, forever distracted, never fully engaged. Most people do not live, they exist. They move through time as if they are spectators of their own lives, lost in thoughts of yesterday and dreams of tomorrow. The past haunts them with regret, shame, nostalgia, chains of memory that pull them backward, suffocating them with things that can no longer be changed. The future torments them with anxiety, uncertainty, endless calculations of what may or may not happen. And so, They never touch the one thing that actually belongs to them, the now. Every second spent dwelling on the past is a second stolen from what could have been created in the present. Every moment spent fearing the future is a moment where no action is taken, where paralysis replaces progress. This is why the weak never change. They replay old wounds like a broken record, reliving their mistakes as if that will undo them. Or they dream of a future where everything magically improves while doing nothing to build it. They are trapped, unable to act because their minds are anywhere but here. The strongest do not live in this illusion. They do not waste time crying over what cannot be undone. They do not daydream about a future that does not yet exist. They know that the only reality, the only battlefield, the only thing that can be shaped is this moment. They anchor themselves in it with an intensity that most will never understand. Every action is deliberate. Every breath is purposeful. Every second is theirs to wield, not to waste. Presence is not just awareness, it is control. It is the rejection of everything that pulls the mind away from now. It is the ability to take full ownership of each moment, to strip away the useless noise of memory and prediction, and to act with total immersion. The world wants you distracted. It wants you drowning in nostalgia, paralyzed by fear, always reaching for a moment that is either gone or yet to come. Because as long as you are not present, you are powerless. Narratives the mind constructs to make sense of time, but not real in any tangible way. You cannot act in the past. You cannot move in the future. All that exists is now. And every second wasted is a second lost forever. Those who fail to grasp this will wake up one day and realize that their entire life was spent waiting, reminiscing, hesitating, and by then, it will be too late. This is why urgency is everything. The moment must be seized, gripped with both hands, lived with an intensity that makes hesitation impossible. To hesitate is to betray yourself, to linger in the past, or obsess over the future is to let life slip through your fingers. The present is a weapon, but only if you use it. The ones who do not, who waste time reliving things that cannot be fixed or fearing things that may never happen, condemn themselves to an existence of inaction. Nothing can touch you when you are fully here. Pain from the past cannot reach you because you are too busy moving forward. Fear of the future cannot paralyze you because you are too immersed in action. The weak are ruled by these illusions, forever reacting to ghosts of time instead of shaping their own reality. The strong have cut the cord. They live now. They move now. They act now. And because of this, they build lives that others only dream of. It is a choice. Every second you decide where your mind will be. You can either remain shackled to time that is not real, lost in thoughts that lead nowhere, or you can step fully into now. You can stop overthinking, stop waiting, stop reliving, and simply engage with what is right in front of you. Presence is not passive. It is not just being aware, it is the most aggressive form of existence. It is the refusal to be anywhere but here, the rejection of anything that steals the moment from you. The graveyards are filled with people who spent their lives in memories and possibilities, who never fully lived in the only moment that was ever real. Do not join them. Do not waste what you have been given. Strip away the illusions, destroy the distractions. Anchor yourself in the present with a force that makes hesitation impossible. Every second is fuel. Every breath is an opportunity. Every action is a strike against time itself. The weak live in delay, always planning, always remembering, always waiting for the right conditions. But the right time never comes. The only time that ever mattered is now. And those who refuse to command the present will find themselves prisoners of a past they cannot change and a future they will never reach. Now is all that exists. Own it. Move in it. Master it. Or lose everything.